Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're literally strapping in for an explosive time-traveling journey through Earth's endless cycle of absolute destruction and, well, miraculous rebirth. We're going to look at some of the most catastrophic events our planet has ever endured, and more importantly, how life somehow, against all odds, always finds a way to reinvent itself. It's a wild ride through history, and honestly, it's going to make you look at our planet and our place on it in a completely different way.
We're dropping straight into the action here. Picture this. It's 66 million years ago. A massive space rock, roughly the size of Mount Everest, is hurtling toward Earth at an unbelievable speed of up to 30 kilometers per second. That is incredibly fast. The air in front of this blazing fireball compresses so violently that it heats up to temperatures as hot as the surface of the sun, and in just seconds, it slams into the coast of modern-day Mexico, completely altering the course of life on this planet forever.
Now you might be wondering, was this the absolute worst day in our planet's history? The day the mighty T-Rex and all the dinosaurs were wiped out? Well, what if I told you it actually wasn't? As catastrophic as that dinosaur-killing asteroid was, it definitely wasn't the deadliest mass extinction Earth has ever faced. But before we go even further back in time, we really need to understand exactly how this specific apocalypse unfolded. Okay, let's dive into this terrifying domino effect. Because, the dinosaurs didn't just die from one big boom. They faced a really slow, agonizing end. First came the initial impact, bringing a shocking blast wave of scorching hot glass and rock. Then, a mega-tsunami totally reshaped the continents. Next, all that atmospheric debris triggered years of toxic, acidic rain. And finally, the dust settled into a devastating nuclear winter. Sunlight was completely blocked for months, maybe even years, plunging the world into a freezing, dark state that starved out a whopping 75% of life on Earth.
What's really fascinating here is the sheer unimaginable scale of just one of those dominoes, right? The mega-tsunami. This wasn't your standard tidal wave. All that immense energy from the asteroid impact had to go somewhere, queuing up a terrifying wall of water over 10 meters high that basically raced across the ocean. To put that into perspective, this monstrous wave was a staggering 30,000 times more powerful than anything we see today. It literally obliterated coastlines.
Part 1. Earth's Deadliest Extinction Event.
And this brilliantly illustrates what happened when we rewind the clock 252 million years. Back then, Earth was just a single supercontinent called Pangaea. The data from this era reveals the truly horrific scale of what scientists call the Great Dying. Due to explosive, centuries-long volcanic eruptions in what is now Siberia, massive amounts of greenhouse gases and ash just choked the sky, blocking out the sun and triggering severe global warming and acid rain. The result? Absolutely staggering. 90% of marine species and over 70% of land animals perished. Almost all life on Earth was brought to an abrupt end.
But before they were wiped out, Pangaea was crawling with some incredible, honestly terrifying creatures. You had the Dimetrodon, a 5-meter-long apex predator rocking this giant temperature-regulating sail on its spine, walking around kind of like a modern crocodile. Then there were the Gorgonopsians, fearsome saber-toothed carnivores that were basically the T-Rex of their time. Oh, and yes, hiding in those ancient evergreen forests, giant cockroaches. Literally the size of modern-day birds, just total nightmare fuel.
Part 2. The Age of Giant Insects.
Let's jump back even further, 300 million years ago. Earth was dominated by terrifying creepy crawlies. Seriously, if you're afraid of bugs, this era is not for you. We're talking about a time when millipedes grew to be as long as cars. To understand why creatures, like dragonflies for instance, grew to the size of crows, it all comes down to the atmosphere. Back then, Earth's oxygen levels were hovering around 35% compared to the 21% we breathe today. This massive spike in atmospheric oxygen literally fueled insect gigantism. You had creatures like the Meganura, a carnivorous dragonfly with a terrifying 75-centimeter wingspan, just hunting in the swampy forests.
But here's the crazy part. That high oxygen wasn't just some magic growth serum. It was actually a deadly threat. Scientists theorize these insects were forced to evolve and grow massive due to oxygen toxicity. You see, too much oxygen creates unstable free radicals that damage DNA and cells. By growing larger, these insects naturally slow down their rate of oxygen absorption through their microscopic breathing tubes. It's a perfect example showing how the planet's atmospheric shifts force these extreme, wild biological workarounds.
Part 3. Asteroid Impact in 2024.
So what if that dinosaur killing scenario happened right now?
If an asteroid the size of Mount Everest hit the Yucatan Peninsula today, could humanity handle the ultimate test of resilience? Well, the immediate devastation is almost impossible to comprehend. A thermal pulse would radiate from the blast site, releasing energy equivalent to 10 billion nuclear bombs. 10 billion! The shockwave would shred literally everything within 1,500 kilometers. Mexico City, Florida, Texas, they'd be completely obliterated by magnitude 10 earthquakes and mega-tsunamis. After that, huge plumes of dust and sulfur would block the sun, plunging any survivors into a cold, dark, 15-year winter.
But hey, we aren't dinosaurs, right? We have NASA, and scientists have theorized some very real planetary defense options. We could use a kinetic impactor, which is literally just slamming a spacecraft into the rock to nudge it off course, kind of like what NASA successfully tested back in 2022. There are also theoretical gravity tractors, ion beam shepherds, and even space lasers designed to vaporize its surface. And if all else fails for a massive rock, well, we might just have to unlock the nuclear codes and blast it off course.
Now, here is a twist of dark irony for you. The very space rock threatening to completely destroy human civilization, it could be exactly what saves the survivors. A single asteroid of that size can contain an unimaginable wealth of precious resources. We are talking ridiculous, off-the-charts amounts of gold, cobalt, and platinum. For whoever actually survives the blast in that brutal dark winter, mining that asteroid could provide the exact materials needed to rebuild global communications, energy grids, and basically jumpstart a completely new economy.
Part 4. Earth after human extinction.
So let's try another thought experiment. Let's say humanity just disappears overnight. Does the planet heal immediately, or do our creations haunt the Earth long after we're gone? Well, the immediate reality is actually quite grim. Without humans to maintain our electrical infrastructure, all our nuclear power plants would just lose power. The water that cools the spent nuclear fuel stops circulating, heats up, and completely boils off. Within a single week, nuclear waste across the entire planet catches fire, exploding and blanketing ecosystems in deadly radioactive chemicals that will linger for hundreds of thousands of years.
But Earth, as we've seen, is incredibly resilient. Within just 1 year, the natural cycle of winter freezes and thaws would crack our highways and moss would take over. After 50 years, unpumped subways in places like New York City would flood, turning into these rapid underground rivers that eventually buckle steel columns and collapse skyscrapers. By 500 years, lush forests will have entirely reclaimed our major cities. Ironically enough, while our massive skyscrapers fall, things like your everyday stainless steel cookware and completely worthless bank vaults, those will survive, just buried in the dirt.
Part 5. Humanity's expiration date.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because futurists and astrophysicists actually use complex mathematical models to map out a highly specific timeline of our potential future. In 2029, the asteroid Apophis will safely but very narrowly pass by Earth. By 2056, with a global population of 10 billion, severe climate shifts could force massive, unprecedented migrations. Fast forward to 2300, and nanotechnology could literally transform the public into transhumans or cyborgs. And then we hit 2779, a mathematical flashpoint for a potential extinction window.
That year, 2779, isn't just a random guess. It actually comes from a daring prediction made back in 1993 by astrophysicist J. Richard Gott. Using statistical models, interestingly enough, the exact same math used to predict consumer behavior, he calculated that there is a 50% chance humanity goes completely extinct by the year 2779. So it's about probabilities, not guarantees, but it definitely leaves us with a very finite window to secure our legacy in the universe.
Earth has reinvented itself time and time again, right? From volcanic hellscapes to the ashes of dinosaur-killing asteroids, our planet will undoubtedly survive whatever comes next. But what about us? If we really have less than 1,000 years left, will we use that time to establish colonies way beyond our solar system? Or are we ultimately destined to become just another fossil layer of giant creatures that once ruled a very resilient Earth?